Good morning. Good morning. Bon matin. I hope everyone is doing good. Sound check. Does this sound all right? I tried to make some updates to my components this morning. Hopefully it will fix the sound problems that we had yesterday. Bonjour, ça va bien? Oui, ça va très bien, merci. All right, so if the sound is good, then let's look at the market, right? Oh yeah, Panda Day. All right. So first thing first, let's look at the market. So we're still in that 21 DMA structure reclaim and backtest setup. So last week, pretty strong move from the lows, reclaim that base area, break out of that downtrend line, reclaim of the 21 DMA structure, 21 EMA curling back up and now rising. And what we discussed and what seems to be happening is that backtest. So now we have a clear swing high pivot to guide us on the reconfirmation of the trend from here. So that's the pivot that I will look to kind of confirm that the backtest is done and we're starting a new leg higher. Futures look good. Same type of 21 DMA structure reclaim and backtest. We also retested that base structure on NQ. And we also have that swing high pivot that we're right up against this morning. So pretty good action on the futures, but will that pivot will hold or will it act as potential resistance and we'll need to kind of back this further? That's what we'll look today, right? But only to show that probably we'll gap up in that area right here. So do we confirm right away that this was the backtest that was needed? Or we need to further backtest as we reject that swing high pivot. That's all we will look today for clues as to if that backtest continues, if we need longer time to digest, to contract, to build the right side of that structure. All right. So QQQE, QQQ, let's look at the internals. So for me, no red flags at all. I discussed that yesterday, right? So we had that structure breakdown. We broke down from the 21 DMA structure as well, now declining. And what happens during backtest, during pullback, is a rally into a declining 21 DMA structure on the credit spreads, right? And we want to see that structure to hold. We don't want to see a spike, in which case that would be a red flag and some early signs that the stress test is not going as planned and there's more risk being priced in during that action. So yesterday, pretty big gap, but right into the 21 EMA that we rejected. So now we have more space, more room for that downtrend and that good action in the market. So that's what we want to see. But obviously today we need to follow through to the downside and not to the upside, right? We don't want to see a spike in the credit spread from here. VIX, same thing. Double rejection of the 21 DMA structure in the last 2 days. Now we have a downside reversal pivot to play against and to give us some confirmation of continuation lower. But the structure looks good. We do have some room. We're just breaking down from the 21 DMA structure, breaking down from that pretty big kind of elevated VIX period, which is good. Those period of high volatility often creates the next uptrend. And finally, Bitcoin. So yeah, we discussed that yesterday. I left that drawing in place and we found support right there. I'm considering, because the market is having that healthy 21 DMA structure reclaim and backtest, Bitcoin is certainly lagging, but there's good chances that that high low structure holds just because of the situational awareness of the market setting up and Bitcoin trying to make a new low. Oh, that's a nice filter you have on the stream. Is everyone else having that weird green and code bar? All good? All right, so maybe try to rejoin. That should do it. All right, so let's continue. So that's what I played last night. I was able to grab some MBT, so Bitcoin futures. Only a small pilot position, trying to kind of position early into that higher low structure. And once again, that's only because recognizing that the market itself is setting up that backtest and potentially about to start that new uptrend, that I'm hoping and willing to test that higher low structure on Bitcoin. If the market was still below a declining 21 DMA structure, I wouldn't even touch Bitcoin here, right? I hope it's clear. And I also played NQ yesterday. So my this is very playbook type for me. I was waiting for that setup to engage on the long side, and basically that's my 21 DMA structure reclaim and backtest setup, and I grabbed some right into that support area, and I will look to add if we build constructively on the right side. If we go here, I have the position that I want. But if we're able to kind of backtest a bit or offer another kind of backtest a bit higher in the trend attempt, then I will look to add, but not yet. I don't want to oversize that position, especially being already fully exposed with my portfolio. All right, so last thing that I want to show you guys is obviously TradersLab, the breadth. So we want to know which side the wind is blowing, right? Is the market contracting or expanding? And right now, despite that the McClellan oscillator is overbought and oaking down, I repeated that many times last week. For me, this is not a sell signal, especially as the market is trying to come off oversold conditions and trying to reconfirm an uptrend. For me, that's a beautiful sign of strength. And if you look back, we were at the same point on April 24. Okay, so just give you a bit of context. We're coming off pretty much the same spot on the McClellan summation from a deep oversold near 2 standard deviation, deep McClellan as well, big run up straight to overbought. And if we look at um, that April 24th, where was it? April 24th, right here. So is an overbought McClellan oscillator really a sell signal? Now you see why I'm telling I'm telling you since last week why this is a huge strength signal for me, saying that McClellan being overbought straight from the bottom and not a sell signal at all. If it was a sell signal, you would have missed the entire April's run, right? So you don't want to lock yourself out of that, right? So let's get back to the McClellan. All right, so once I see that, I just remove the McClellan oscillator from my decision making and even my daily routine and situational awareness, right? It does not mean anything for me. What I would look for on the McClellan oscillator from now on are potentially oversold conditions within an uptrend. If, let's say, in 2-3 weeks, if the market confirmed that new uptrend, if we turn nicely, etc., there's a lot of if, right? But if it does, and we have some consolidation, some pullback into a rising 21-day structure, and I see MCO being oversold, then that's a buy signal to re-increase my exposure and engage in that pullback. But for now, like I said, I will not even look at it as it does not have any hedge at this point in time, right? What I will track though is the McClellan summation. What we want to see is nice, clean expansion period from those oversold hookup, right? That's what we played last week. That's what seems to confirm. But we never know how far, how hard it will be. So we have that nice uptrend in April and May. We had the same thing at the start of 2025, in May 2024, and in November 2023, ideally, and in March 2023, sorry. And sometimes it's clean and powerful. Sometimes it's grinding up and choppy on the way up. But overall, my sell signal and where I will look to trim further into strength will be when we reach that overbought area around 1 standard deviation above the average. So from here, as long as we keep trending on the McClellan summation, my goal is to be patient and rely on my positions action until we get that not sell signal, but kind of caution signal that the trend might get tired. So in that case, I want to trim a bit further and be more cautious. Don't open new exposure and just drift with the position and the runners that I still have, right? So Emran is asking, McClellan oscillator is some sort of standard or you have customized? So standard is this one, the one that you have in the TLMM dashboard as well. So this is standard McClellan. What we did here in the market overview is to normalize the action. And you can see I have, going to the documentation of TradersLab, let's do it. And if you go into tutorials, you have the TradersLab homepage, you have the webinar, and I explain what we did to normalize the McClellan oscillator. So basically what it does, super quick, is that it normalizes with the recent history, and in our case, we take the last 2 to 3 years, and we take that average and use a z-score normalization process to to know how far from the average we are in standard deviation. So right now, that's the z-score that you see right here. So the z-score is basically the standard deviation above or below the average of the last 3 years. So it gives a much better and cleaner signals to assess where we are in the trend and compare to historical average as well. So now that we have this, that's pretty much my main tool to assess the trend. All right, so let's review the portfolio now. And like I shared, oh, nice push on Bitcoin. All right, so like I said yesterday, my goal today, my game plan is really to be patient. I'm fully exposed. My futures position of last night are basically my aggression, my margin. That's with this that I decided to push. Uh, I'm in pretty low ATR names anyway, so I yes, I'm fully exposed, but not as usual using growth names, right? So that's why I allowed myself to be a bit more aggressive with those futures trades. And yeah, that's why I allowed myself as well to take that. So we covered those futures trades, no reasons to go over them again. VRT, looking like the market itself, to be honest. We have that downtrend line breakout, 21 DMA structure reclaim and backtest. And you know that I really like that weekly setup. Just a beautiful chart. AI play, group is strong, big mode. So I really like that name. But I was waiting for my entry on the daily time frame. So I initiated the 21 DME structure reclaim on Friday, and yesterday I had it after that backtest. So that's very typical entry for me. CN. So now we'll look and focus on that backtesting action, right? Yesterday morning we discussed we want to see healthy action on the backtest. We want to see those recent swing high pivot being retested and held. We want to see that 21 EMA being retested and held. We want to see prior structure or the 21 DMA structure being retested and holding strong. And that's what we saw yesterday, right? CN open weak, nice retest of the 21 EMA, higher low structure, and close strong above the swing high pivot. That gives a lot of conviction yesterday. CLS very weak, but still above the 21 EMA. So I'm ready to give it some time. Let's see how it reacts today with the market being strong. And if it stops me out, it stops me out. That's not the end of the day. LRCX, same thing. 21 DMA structure reclaim. We were expecting the backtest. That's what we have. And we'll look for the daily reversal pivot reconfirmation reclaim. That would be a nice confirmation today. APH, same thing. High or low structure on the right side as we retest the 21 DMA structure. Closed back above the recent swing high pivot. Really healthy action. Gives confidence. Caterpillar, a bit weak close, but we still close above the swing high pivot. So all good. It's still showing constructive action on the right side. IBM, same thing, was not able to close above that reversal pivot, but we made a nice micro higher low right above the 21 EMA, and we closed strong. That's why I had it, and I like that larger cup and handle breakout and retest with kind of a base on base structure, right? And finally, WDC, which seems to be the memory group leader, at least according to TradersLab RS Rank. And yeah, we had the same pattern, but very strong. So 21 DMA structure reclaim, backtest-ish. We never made a new micro low. That's pretty impressive. And always close to a new closing high, despite being up only flat-ish. But it was still green yesterday. So yeah, very strong action on the right side. Let's see where it goes. Position is de-risk anyway, but it's showing constructive and good action. And like I shared yesterday, I don't have any focus list for today as I have the exposure that I want. But I shared what I think it's still setting up, right? With that gap up, maybe a bit less. So WDC will be out of buy area, unfortunately. You have STX, which is kind of the second leader with Micron in the memory group. So you have that 21 DMA structure reclaim and backtest. You can look at the reversal pivot to engage or on weakness in that structure kind of buy area. Micron, a bit lagging this morning. I think it needs more time, to be honest. I will look for some right side, tighten up on the right side, maybe some higher low. I'm not so sure that I don't like usually kind of those V-shape recovery. I think it usually needs more time on the right side, but who knows. APH still setting up nicely. You can use yesterday's high pivot for an entry trigger. Caterpillar, same thing. You can use yesterday's high pivot for a confirmation, or you can use weakness and action around this recent swing high pivot as well on weakness. LRCX still setting up. You can use that reversal pivot for an entry trigger. VRT gapping up, but if you can get some weakness on the swing high pivot retest, that would be a nice entry. Clack, that's probably the only name that I don't have a position, but still in focus list. You can use the recent swing high pivot as an entry trigger. And finally, IBM still setting up nicely of that reversal pivot confirmation. And yeah, we discussed that, like the larger setup. So those would be the names that I would still look at today if I didn't have the exposure that I have. So WDC, STX, Micron, APH, Caterpillar, LRCX, VRT, Clack, and IBM. Those are kind of the top liquid leaders still setting up. So good trade ideas. All right, so that's it for me. We reviewed the market, we reviewed Brett, we reviewed the internals, we reviewed the portfolio, the focus list. Now, I don't know if you guys have any questions. What about GCI? Oh man, that's choppy. Yeah, it's not a bad trender though. That was a nice trend in 2020. Johnson Controls. Yeah, that could be a nice play. You have that base right here. Um, I would use yesterday's high as a confirmation. You have a 21 DMA structure reclaim-ish. Not so strong though in that back test. As long as it holds kind of that low area, I would use that pivot. I would use that extra confirmation and not buy on weakness there. Yeah, TSM is in the scan. It's setting up nicely, but as you might know, I hate this name simply because it trades on Asia market and tends to gap a lot, gap up or gap down. It creates a choppy chart, but it's a nice chart, but choppy, and I hate that gapping nature. But yeah, it's offering a nice 21 DME structure, reclaim and back test. You have that high low here on the right side. So yeah, really nice chart, nice setup. But yeah, not for me just because it trades on the Asia market. Oh my God, that Tesla trades. It always trick people when I close a trade, right? Um, Guys, if you don't want to close the trade, don't close it, right? But for me, Tesla, uh, and I already shared that in the Alex Journal channel. Uh, I didn't have confirmation in not confirmation, conviction in Tesla, just because it's not in my scan. And for me, I rely a lot on this scan because I know I have an edge. I know that if I keep trading those names, I put myself in potential winners, at least that they prove themselves. Uh, and Tesla is not there. So I always like to trade Tesla, but if it does not work, that's a name that can come back on you pretty quickly. So as I didn't have conviction and as it was not able to push through that structure retest, I simply closed it. That's not the end of the world, to be honest. Uh, I close trade all the time and I look to rotate into new stuff all the time, and that will always be the same thing. So get used to it. So Art, good question. If you can elaborate on using RS rank in the T-Lab screener for picking the new stock, the next stocks. For example, you picked IBM over MU. Okay, so that's a bit where um, there's discretion, right? And you have to kind of know your groups and your teams, right? Because look at the top three names, right? WDC, STX, and Micron. Those three names are memory plays, memory group. Uh, so I'm already in WDC, which is the leader, and I don't want to be overly exposed in the same group. So I'm sticking to my WDC position, and right away like that, I ignore STX, I ignore Micron because I already have the leader. Then APH, I already have my position. Caterpillar, I already have. LRCX, I already have. VRT, I already have. Guild, I don't really like the setup and the group. o'clock, it was showing decent action, but I don't like the liquidity of that time. You all, a bit too extended for me. I would like to see a retest of the 21-day structure. And then IBM, I like the overall structure, and it was offering a nice entry. And my pilot position was kind of underweight. I only took 0.25% EC risk when usually I take 0.5. So the trade was basically to adjust that and bump it up to 0.5 like the rest of my positions. So that was the thought process that I went through yesterday that led me to add to IBM. Where are the future trades? I can see the channel. Yeah, the channel is right there, just below equity trades. Chuck Norris. Good one. All right, guys. Any other questions? Pleasure, my friend. Thanks for sharing your stuff as well. And I like to see you trade more and more liquid leaders. All right, thanks, guys. Have a good day. And once again, if you have any questions, I will be hanging out in the trading channel. So yeah, good luck today. Take care. Think risk first. Progressive exposure. And if you follow me in increasing exposure since last week, good pen decision. It's time to be patient. All right? Take care, everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye.